as many of you know, I am a super busy person. Between this YouTube channel, my full-time job, and all of the various side projects and goals I have for myself, I just do a lot of stuff. And the tool I live and die by to get everything done is the weekly reset. I've made a bunch of weekly reset videos here on my channel, and over the years, especially as I've gotten busier, a bunch of stuff has been added and changed in the weekly reset, so now I have a pretty good idea of what I need to get done every single week in order to stay on top of my habits and goals. But as it's gotten bigger, it's also become more and more crucial that I do it on a regular schedule in order to keep everything straight. But I have currently been so busy that I have not done my weekly reset in 7 weeks. So in this video, I am not only gonna go through my weekly reset, but I am also going to show you what it looks like to do a weekly reset when you are a very busy person who sometimes gets behind. I'm gonna go through cleaning out my capture methods, doing a digital declutter, checking in with my goals, and looking forward to the week ahead. Okay, let's get started. For context, for those of you who don't know, who haven't watched my channel in a while, I work at a university. I manage the content production and content strategy for the school. I also do this YouTube channel, and then I also have a bunch of personal hobbies and personal goals because I literally can't stop adding projects to myself. So this is how I sort of keep track of all of my projects. The first step of my weekly reset is cleaning out my capture methods. Now, for those of you not familiar with a capture method is the place where you write down or store or quickly jot down things that come into your mind or into your life that you don't want to forget. So, for example, I have a pocket capture notebook. I will write things down like a series of tasks that I have to do. I'll write things down like quotes that I have. I'll make schedules when I'm on the go. This is just sort of capturing the things that are interesting to me, the things that are functional for me, things I don't want to forget. This is like a draft of something that I was thinking about, oh, it'd be cool to organize my goals like this, so I'm going to jot it down in my pocket notebook because I'm out of the house. A couple notes, more tasks. Like, this is just basically anything that comes into my mind, into my brain, through my system when I am out and about, basically. So what we're going to do is we're going to take everything out of this and put it somewhere that it's actionable, because this is just the notebook I have on the go. It's not really something that is by itself actionable. So I do most of my capture, well, I say I do most of my capture. I'm trying to do most of my capture in this pocket notebook because I carry it around everywhere with me, and I'm really trying to break the habit of going straight for my phone instead of a paper product, because oftentimes when I go straight for my phone, I end up getting distracted by a social media app or by a text message or something. So instead of going straight to my phone, I try to go here. Has that worked out for me? Yes and no. I have a bunch of stuff in here that we are going to be filtering out today, but I also do heavily use the Notes app, so the Apple Notes app on my computer, through my phone, especially when it's late at night, my phone's right next to my bed and I have an idea, I need to jot it down, I use the Notes app, or if I'm on the train and it would be really hard to pull out my notebook, I use my Notes app. So I'm trying to break away from the Notes app. It's not really happening so far, but capture methods are so useful when you have as many as you need and as few as you can get by with. So I tried to keep it all in just one, and I'm realizing the few that I can get by with is maybe two, maybe the notebook and the digital notepad. So we're gonna go through those two things first. What we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be pulling things out of here and putting them in the places that they are most actionable. So for me, that is this brain dump here. At the start of my weeks, at the start of my months, I really like to do a brain dump because it gets all of my tasks out of my head, out of other places where they're not usable and not actionable, and onto paper in one solid place. And the way I've been splitting up my brain dump right now is emails for work, tasks for work, and then a personal section. So we're gonna do this right now with the capture method. So let's first go through. Also, if you wanna see a full walkthrough of this, I do have one on my channel. I will leave it linked up in the cards, but I'm just gonna run through really quickly my method. So we're gonna look at each page, and the way I tell if I've already handled a page is, does it have this little check mark at the bottom or not? Yes, it does have a check mark, so this page I don't need to do anything with. It's processed. These pages are quote pages. The star means I want to continually reference them. I don't need to actually pull this out of my capture method. So it's gonna actually just stay in here for now. And then pages with nothing on the bottom indicate that I need to pull some stuff out in order to make it usable. So I'm gonna go ahead and pull these things out. These are both almost identical sticky notes. They're about canceling some subscriptions. And so I'm gonna go down here to personal and write cancel subscriptions. There's also this list of to-do lists items, so I can just directly copy that over. I did this one. I don't need to do that anymore. God, my handwriting is bad when I try to write at this angle. I'm a severe notebook turner, so when I'm writing and my handwriting is nice, it's because I'm writing at this severe angle. But when I try to make videos, it's really hard to do that. Okay, so these 2 pages are basically handled. I have this information elsewhere, so I don't need to write it all down. So I'm gonna go ahead and cross out these pages. Move on. These pages already handled. I already moved forward with those. This page, I think, is a reference page. I just need to come back to it and reference it a little bit more. This page I did. This is all good to go. I don't need to move anything out of that. These are reference pages. So one of the things I'm doing for my goals is I am trying a bunch of workout classes. And so these are workout class reviews of a couple things that I did this past week. And then that's all I have in my capture method for my paper notebook. So I'm gonna seal this thing back up, and this is good to go. The next capture method is my notes app on my computer. So you can see I have my keyboard here and I have my computer off screen up at the top here. And we are just gonna go through together what items in my notes app I can pull out. So I really don't get in here and clean this out as often as I should. So there is a ton of stuff in here, like dating back to last year, kind of a ton of stuff. And I definitely need to go all the way through this. I've already gone about halfway through it. Everything we're gonna be talking about today, I've already done a few of the work things that are kind of confidential so that you guys don't have to see them. But my process for work stuff and personal stuff is almost exactly the same. And my notes app is both a capture method and also a note taking method and note storing device, right? So when I go through and sort these, I'm gonna be sorting them into these folders you see on the sidebar. So for example, I have an About Me folder, which covers everything like medical to just like, oh, I use these products regularly. I have a projects folder, which honestly, a lot of these are going into because this covers all of my writing. So all of my fiction writing goes in here. And most of these are like story ideas or plot bunnies. Then I have an RIT folder for Rachel and Theory for the YouTube channel. I have a work folder for everything work. We're really not going to touch this today. I have a fixations folder for everything that is a fixation of mine, a reference folder for things that I want to reference in the future, and then an archive. So I'm not going to go too deep into these or into my strategy for what these are. Honestly, it's just what has worked for me over the past many years of my life. There's no real solid system. It's kind of the para method. It's kind of my own thing. One thing that I will say, one principle that I carry with me is that I like to put my notes where they will be actionable and usable. So for example, this white chicken chili recipe can go in reference, it can go in recipes, because my brain is always going to say, if I'm looking for a recipe, it's always going to say, go to the recipes folder. But something like this, ignore this little face here, I just copied and pasted that for no real reasons. These are just a couple of names that I came across in my day-to-day life, and I really like them as names. And I know that these names are going to be used at some point in something that I'm writing, a piece of fiction that I'm writing. I know that these are not baby names. I know that these are not names for pets. They are going to be used in fiction. So instead of having a reference folder that says names, I'm going to open up my projects and I'm going to drag this into my fiction folder. So that is basically the principle with which I am going to organize these things right now. So for example, this first one is for a fan fiction that I am writing that is in my whips folder. So you see I'm opening projects, fiction, works in progress, and then this is for a Ginny Weasley fan fiction. You guys may know the Ginny Weasley fan fiction. I've talked about that a lot. This is actually a work thing that I thought was okay to share because it doesn't show any last names. Basically, I need to reach out to somebody for information on how YouTube channels are handled at my place of business. So I'm going to drop that in my work folder. This is a scene idea I have for another fan fiction that I'm writing. So I'm going to go ahead and drop that in that folder. I'm dropping story ideas into my story ideas folder. I'm dropping hiring practices into my work folder. This is a piece of content
an idea for a piece of content that I had about PhD students and healthcare. This is a good piece to look at, okay? So this is an idea of content that I had for something unrelated to this YouTube channel. And this is a task that I have to do. So here's what needs to happen. I need to file this idea away into my work folder where it will be actually usable. But I need this email, like emailing my tech department about a new chair for my office. I need that someplace where I will actually remember to do it. So if we go back to my desktop, not my digital folder, but my desktop, I'm going to write email tech team renew chair. Oh shit, you know what I should have done? I should have put that in my emails section. Oh God. We're trying a new method today with the emails versus tasks, and you can see my limitations. Okay, I'm moving it over here. I like to split my emails and my tasks up just because seeing my emails in line with my tasks makes me really anxious, but seeing them all in one is helpful. Okay, so now that I have this out of here, I can just delete this, and then I can properly sort this note. And I do that a ton, where I will have, you know, the main body of the note, and then I will have like a bunch of extra scribbles or like, you know, YouTube links, ideas, pasted text. I will often have one note up on my desktop on my computer throughout the day when I'm just dealing with a lot of copying and pasting and ideas and quick notes that come from my boss. So sometimes I'll get to notes where I have multiple things in them, and then I have to just sort them and create new notes or move things out so that the original purpose of the note isn't lost. So that's what I just did there. But this one, for example, is just like a reading list. And so I'm gonna go ahead and put that in my reference folder under reading. Boom, done.
What you just saw is a great example of which parts of my weekly reset actually get done on a routine basis and what gets thrown to the wayside on busier weeks. I almost always clean out my pocket notebook and set up a brain dump in my planner every single week. I will also almost always migrate the tasks from the previous week into the new week in my planner. But things like my notes app just doesn't get cleaned out very frequently. Stuff just gets lost in there. It is so convenient for jotting things down quickly, but that convenience also means that it's easy for notes to stack up over time without any clear long-term purpose. So I always end up letting it build up week after week. Next, we're gonna declutter the rest of my digital life, but first I wanna tell you about today's sponsor, Ana Luisa. You know how sometimes you wanna elevate your everyday looks, but you don't wanna spend a fortune on jewelry that might not even last? That is where Ana Luisa comes in. They create beautiful, high-quality pieces that are designed to be worn every day. What really drew me to them is their commitment to both quality and sustainability. They're actually carbon neutral and climate neutral certified, and they offset 100% of their carbon footprint. That's so cool. What I love about Ana Luisa is that they make quality jewelry really affordable. Their pieces start at just $39, but they don't cut any corners. Everything is crafted to stand the test of time, with strength and humidity testing to ensure that your pieces are long lasting, and they stay beautiful wear after wear. Plus, they have a free 2-year warranty and free US shipping and exchanges, so you know they stand by their products. I'm actually wearing 2 of their pieces right now. This sleek chain is quickly becoming my new go-to. It's lightweight enough that I barely even notice I'm wearing it, but it adds this perfect little detail to every outfit I have. Plus, this teardrop necklace is in such a classic shape, it literally goes with everything. They're perfect for elevating any outfit, whether you are dressing up for a special occasion or just want to add a little something to your everyday wear. If you want to check out Ana Luisa for yourself, click the link in my description box below for 20% off your first order. With over 25,000 5-star reviews, you can really trust what you're getting. Thanks again to Ana Luisa for sponsoring, and let's proceed to doing my digital declutter.
Now my digital declutter covers my emails, my downloads folder, and my desktop folder, because my downloads folder and my desktop folder and my emails act as their own sort of capture methods, right? So we're still in the capture phase, like all these places where things accidentally get stored, or I screenshot something because it makes me think of something that I'll use later. All of those things have their purpose. I want to clean them out so that I don't forget anything. So I'm looking at this right now, and what I first do when I do this is I do my downloads folder. So you can see my downloads folder here. Again, I have already cleaned out my downloads folder for everything related to work. Pretty much all that's left is like a haircut I want, a couple images that are related to a fan fiction I'll be writing, some fan art that I liked, some quotes from Twin Peaks, just like a bunch of random stuff. But please trust that I have actually gone through and removed a lot of the work stuff already and sorted that independently. It's just that I can't show you that on camera. So I'm gonna open this folder and we're gonna go through it together, and we are going to either delete delete things or move them over to the desktop. You can already see that my desktop is pretty crowded with screenshots and things. I'm gonna show you what I do with my desktop after I clean out my downloads. So this is a haircut I like, but it's honestly not a picture that really means anything to me. Like I could look this up again, so I don't really need it. So I'm gonna delete it. This is an exercise I needed, but I don't need it anymore. These two things I can delete. I don't need them anymore. These things I think I could find again, but I like to keep fan art for fics that I am currently writing. I don't need this picture of Elizabeth Swann. Don't need this presentation. I want to keep this. This I will need, but it's actually a personal document, which is going to go somewhere else. This I definitely don't need, but shout out if you like the Sonic the Hedgehog movies or games. This is a piece of fan art that I actually don't need. Oh, these are fun. I just think young Daniel Radcliffe is literally hilarious. So you get the idea. I'm just going through this and I'm deciding, you know, what do I want to keep? And if I want to keep it, I will move it to my desktop. And then if I don't need to keep it, I will delete it. Like I don't need to delete that. I can delete this, I can delete this, I can delete this. I want to keep Dale Cooper, and so on and so forth. So again, because this is a YouTube video and not me going through everything completely, I'm going to come back to this later, but I will say this process, cleaning out my downloads folder, probably takes me about like 30 minutes when I'm doing like a really full downloads folder, but for the most part, it should take me 10 minutes. So between 10 and 30 minutes, depending on just how crazy the week has been. So I'm gonna go ahead and exit out of my downloads folder, and then we're gonna sort some of these things on my desktop. So I'd say I just dropped these fan art type of things for fan fictions that I'm writing into my desktop folder. Now, some of these I will actually just add to a note in my notes app. So for example, I'm gonna add this piece of fan art into a note on my notes app, and then I can go ahead and sort it into the project that feels right. I downloaded this piece of fan art because it inspired me for a fan fiction I was writing, and then I'm gonna go ahead and drop that into that fan fiction folder, and that way I no longer need this piece of fan art because it is in the folder and I can reference it whenever I want. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete it off my desktop, and I'm gonna do the same thing with all of these other pieces of fan art as well. Plus there's a bunch of other stuff on my desktop. So you can kind of get the idea that what I'm really doing when I filter through my downloads and my desktop is that I'm filtering through my downloads for stuff that I want to delete or keep. And then once I have a record of everything I want to keep, which I put on my desktop, I then go through and I sort it further down into the appropriate folders. Now, some things like, for example, this is a screenshot I took of a video about the rivers of the underworld. This is for a fanfiction that I'm writing, but I can look this information up. I don't need to keep this on my desktop. And I also kind of have this memorized by now, so I can just go ahead and delete that right from my desktop. So I'm constantly filtering these things down, putting the things that I take pictures of in places they will be useful to me, and deleting the things that will not be useful to me or that I don't need. So once again, I'm not going to go through my whole desktop here because that would just be a long time in the video, but this process also takes about 10-15 minutes when the desktop is, you know, roughly uncluttered. Probably this amount of clutter would take me like no time at all, but when my desktop is really cluttered, which sometimes happens after really busy weeks when I'm just screenshotting things and sending them every which way they need to go, it'll take me a bit longer.
The biggest thing missing from the digital declutter that you just saw was obviously going through my email inbox, but just to give you an idea of what I was working with at the time I sat down to do this weekly reset, my work email inbox had 120 emails in it that I needed to go through, and my personal Gmail had, wait for it, 906 emails. I'm not going to show you what I do when I clean out my email inboxes because there's a lot of sensitive and private information in both my work and my personal emails. But when I clean those out, I'm pretty much doing the same thing that you saw me do with my notes app, where I'm evaluating the email and then either creating a task out of it or sorting it into some folder system so that it can just be used as reference later. So the next thing we're going to do now that I have cleaned out all my various inboxes is complete the brain dump and review my goals.
So this is my manager's notebook. Manager's Notebook by Paper Test Designs. I really like it so far, and I'm sort of using it for work and personal, but mostly work. So a lot of the things that I didn't get to, I'm now gonna move over. So that's basically, I'm just gonna take everything here and everything in this column and put it in my new brain dump. This is just time, I've just been time tracking this week, so this is just time tracking. There's nothing in the weekly section that I have to move over. This is just for my personal review. Some of this stuff I can just check off, like I did, in fact, email Charisse, so I can just check that off. But for most of these, I have to move them over. And so the things I'm moving over to this list, you'll see me cross them off, but use an arrow instead of just crossing them off. I've gotten really into just straight up crossing things off when I am done doing them because I think it adds too my visual experience of seeing like what is actually going on, like what I still have to do. But the stuff that I need to cross off but move over, I'm just doing this arrow to indicate to myself that I like haven't done it. Okay, so that covers this section. This is just basic notes, so I don't really need to move that anywhere. Let's look at this. Okay, I already covered this. Okay, so we're all set with the previous week. Everything from this column, which I'm sort of using as my notes column, and this column, which was an overflow, has been moved into next week's brain dump. Now, because I'm a little extra paranoid about missing stuff, I'm gonna go through and I'm gonna highlight the top priorities that I have to do right away. Things that I have either procrastinated on or that are somewhat urgent because of one reason or another. And no surprise, it's a lot of stuff. So when I come back in here to set up the following week, which I like to do on Monday mornings these days rather than on my weekend weekly reset. When I come in here Monday morning to set up the week ahead, I will be able to reference this and see what my top priorities are right away. I'm also just going to quickly take a look at my time tracking here for anything that I might have missed, anything that I need to follow up on. So I think the only thing from this I need to follow up on is with my landlord. Our AC has been linking, so I need to follow up with my landlord about that. But otherwise, I think this brain dump is done, which is great. Next, we are going to be reviewing my goals and tracking my progress. So I'm just going to show you a couple of my goals, 3 of my goals. First one is my library, my reading goal, which is to read more than 6 books. And I have a bunch of book stickers here, but my goal is only to read more than 6, and I'm already on my way. So I finished this one, which is Draco Malfoy and the Mortifying Ordeal of Falling in Love, which is a fan fiction. I started it at the beginning of January. I finished it at the end of January. Now I am currently reading Vineland by Thomas Pynchon. And I started it the other day, let's say beginning of Feb to whenever. I just like to note down in here when I've started something and then when I've finished it. My reading goal is really, really loose, so I don't need to track much more than this. Let's look at my writing goal. So my writing goal here is to finish my rough draft by the end of the quarter. And I have these 4 sections for Act 1, Act 2, Act 3, Act 4. And I actually have finished Act 1. Yay, oh my gosh. So I'm gonna go ahead and just color this box in to indicate that I finished it. And that'll do. I did also do some of these actions, so I'm just gonna go ahead and check them off. Okay, cool. And I don't think I need to write anything else in here. I think I'm pretty good. Now let's check in with my exercise goal. And by the way, for my goal section, I have a whole video on how I set these up. So again, I'll leave that linked up in the cards. You can see in that video how I set them up, what my hopes are for them. And then in this video, you can see how I am actually using them, which is kind of cool. When I set up that video, I think I kind of messed up in filling out this tracker. I should not have done this swiping motion because I am actually using this swiping motion to indicate that I'm finished with this particular portion of the tracker. So you can see here on Act 1, I just like did this swiping motion. And so now it looks like these are also done, which is not the case. But I did do 2 of these in January. Luckily for me, I keep a white gel pen. Ta-da! White gel pens are so handy for fixing mistakes in planners, and because I didn't do this, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the white gel pen to make it look a little bit less dark. That's good, that's fine. That'll do. Sometimes good enough is good enough, eh guys? Also in February, I have already scheduled my class. It is tomorrow, so I'm gonna go ahead and check that off. So you can see in January, my success rate was 50% for this particular goal, which is to book and attend workout classes once a week. So I did not meet that goal in January, but in all fairness, January was a weird one. I really also wish in this spread I did not write the weeks inside here because I think that that is just confusing me and making me feel like this is a habit tracker, which is not the case. But either way, I did book 2 workout classes in January, and then I have already booked 1 for February. So I'm gonna go ahead and check that off and call it good. And that is our complete goals check-in. Hooray.
The cornerstone of my weekly reset is probably my brain dump, but the goals check-in is something I'm so excited to add in, and it's actually one of the newer pieces of my weekly reset. As a busy person, I will often half complete my goals and then get distracted as new priorities emerge. So to stop that from happening, I instituted this goals check-in into my weekly reset so that I'm always referencing and always looking back on what I set out to accomplish. I think it's gonna really help improve my goal completion rate and keep me on track, so I'm super excited. The next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna look ahead to my coming week and actually plan in times when I will be accomplishing those goals or making progress towards those goals. And we're gonna do that on my digital calendar.
Okay, so now I'm looking ahead to my week, and I have some stuff in green that is my work calendar. Blue is personal, purple is anything I do with my partner, orange is routine type of things. You can see I have 2 hours blocked out for a weekly planning and review. So if you want to know how many hours I realistically block out every week to do this, it's 2. But for the most part, I'm looking at this evening time and this weekend time when I'm trying to plan my goals. I have a lot of fun stuff going on next weekend. I'm seeing Vertigo, which I've never seen before, but I'm really excited to see. I'm also seeing Harry Potter and the Cursed Child, so shouts out to that piece of fan fiction. I'm having breakfast with my parents. I'm filming. I have a lot going on this weekend. So when in my week am I going to realistically achieve my goals? Well, for a workout class, I'm probably going to want to book one for the week. So I'm going to go ahead in here and just put workout class, tentative. And then I will also add in my brain dump, in my personal tasks, I will also add book workout class for next week. And because I have to do that pretty soon or all the good classes will be filled, I'm going to go ahead and highlight it in yellow. That's right, the system is coming together, folks. Because this is a personal calendar appointment, I'm going to change it to personal appointments. And then what are my other goals? When will I write? What a good question. Probably Thursday. I'll probably be able to get some writing done on Thursday. So I'm gonna add writing. And then when will I read? I'm gonna book some time for reading on Monday. Actually, you know what? I'm not gonna do that. The times I realistically want to read are the times when I go into the office. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, I'm in the office. And these will be on the bus in the morning and on the train in the evening. So I'm actually going to go ahead. Let's go all the way up to the top of my calendar. Here, when I'm commuting, I'm gonna add a commuting and reading thing. I don't get through books very fast this way because reading on the bus is kind of difficult, but it does mean that I definitely will be reading at some point in the week. So that is my look ahead. And then the last thing I do as part of my weekly reset is I do a special weekly check-in with my partner and my producer. I'm putting up on the screen a screenshot of what our typical weekly planning checklist looks like, and I'll walk you through this. It usually says, what is our upcoming schedule? So he and I both go through our upcoming schedule. When am I in the office this week? He works from home and I work hybrid, partially from the office, partially from home. So when am I in the office? What are we doing for Rachel in theory this week? So at that point, we'll take a look at the calendar, see if anything needs to be done in advance and plan that on our calendars accordingly. When are we going to move our bodies? What are we going to do for that body movement? So we just like to hold each other accountable to make sure we are booking those workout classes, going to the gym, meeting our fitness goals. And these fitness goals are not really intense. That's why we have body movement and moving our bodies. Like just scheduling that we're going for a walk or scheduling that we're going to do some at-home yoga is enough to satisfy this bullet. What is date night? We always have a date night on Friday. It's super crucial and amazing for our relationship. And so we want to plan it in advance to protect that time. We also have when are we taking solo time? What does that look like? Just to make sure that we protect and defend our own solo time and also each other's solo time so that we don't get too in sync, so to speak. I don't know. If you're in a couple, you probably know how important this is. What do we want to accomplish in terms of TV shows this week? This sounds so mathematical and so like particular just for a TV show, but we are making our way through a lot of big prestige television shows right now, like Twin Peaks and The Sopranos and stuff like that. And so we have a schedule for ourselves for when we want to get those completed. And so we book in like when we're going to watch a TV show. We have a meal plan check-in, and then we also have a call to enter our budget into our budgeting app. This all told probably takes about a half hour when things are like on a regular schedule, but if there's a lot we need to discuss, it might take a little bit more, but typically it's around a half hour. And typically what I try to do is I try to set aside 2 hours for a weekly reset every single week that encompasses going through my capture methods, going through last week, creating a brain dump, talking to my partner, reviewing my goals, scheduling everything out, cleaning out my email, cleaning out my notes app. Usually that will take me about 2 hours if I have done everything I need to do.
I really do recommend trying to do some sort of weekly check-in with your partner or your team at work or whoever you are accountable to in your work or personal life. It both keeps you on track and also makes the process of weekly resets much more enjoyable. For example, when I let my own weekly resets go for, say, 7 weeks at a time, things things that I promise to myself can sometimes not get done, but those things that I'm accountable to my partner for are almost always getting done because we are accountable to each other to always have this weekly meeting. So it's a great way to get things done. And the last piece to wrap it all up is my trigger list. I like to do my trigger list at the end of my weekly reset instead of at the beginning because it helps act as a just in case I missed anything sort of step. So let's go over to the flat lay and do that now and see if I actually missed anything.
So this is a list I made with personal trigger list items. So kind of basically what I want to do for a brain dump. I do this trigger list mostly once a month, more than I do it once a week. But occasionally I come in here during my weekly reset and I have my brain dump over here. I have the trigger list over here and I just scan this for anything else I need to do. So I'm just quickly scanning it now for anything else I need to do. So on trips and vacations, I know I need to talk to my parents about visiting them over the summer. So talk to parents about summer visit. That's good. Everything else I think I'm all set on. But usually, again, this is a process that I've been doing like once a month since I set it up rather than once a week, which is fine.
And that, my friends, is a busy person's weekly reset. A busy person who was so busy she let her weekly reset go for weeks and weeks and weeks. But still, a busy person's weekly reset. When I can do these steps consistently, my mind and my to-do list are free as a bird, and it's so beautiful. Of course, sometimes life does just get in the way. And when it does, it just means that you need to spend a little bit more time on the weekly reset. Sometimes it even means you need to spend hours more on your weekly reset, just like I did. And that's totally okay. We all have different lives, we're all balancing different projects, and if you have to spend a little bit more time on a weekend or a lot more time on a weekend in order to feel that good, clear feeling that comes with resetting your life, you should do it and you should set aside that time because at the end of the day, planning like this is taking care of yourself. If you liked this video, you might like to know more about that little capture notebook I shared in the beginning of my reset. I will leave a video explaining my capture notebook system right here on the screen next to my head for your viewing pleasure. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, for being subscribed, for being awesome. I love you so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.